Hey everyone, welcome to the April Fragrance Awards, where I share with you a good sampling of the fragrances that I wore over the past month and place them into some faux award categories to share with you my thoughts on them. I have linked in the description box an entire playlist with all of the monthly fragrance awards that I've been doing for the past almost 2 years now. I think in May or June of this year, it'll make 2 years of these awards shows. It's a nice way to share a variety of fragrances with you, and oftentimes fragrances that aren't hyped up or have passed hype phase, but I still enjoy and like to wear. Before I get started, I really wanted to share with you my scent of the day, which is a beautiful one and doesn't get any love on YouTube, Instagram, anywhere that I know of. And it's called Kendo. Take two. Kenzo, Le Monde Beau. What I love about this is that it's equal parts floral and citrus and aromatic, and is really quite a unique fragrance. The bottle is a little bit gaudy, but also catchy. I used to have a mini of this many years ago, and I forgot what the mini was called. And I've been looking for that same mini in bottle form for years and years, and it finally popped up on a discount site. And I was like, oh my God, that's the one that I've been looking for. Not the super longest lasting fragrance, but the opening of this and for the first hour, it's just, if you like citruses and florals, there's a huge basil note in here, which adds something super interesting that for me, the basil and the citrus come across almost like a freshly cut pink grapefruit that has been sprinkled with sugar. You know how it's tart and it makes your mouth water at the same time? That's sort of what I get in here. Anyway, this is not part of the awards show, but I really wanted to share this. And also not sponsored, but if you're into eyeshadow like I am, I really wanted to put you onto the Byredo Remembrance palette. And here is what this looks like. So if you are into neutral eyeshadows, this is a neutral eyeshadow lover's dream. And if you have mature eyelids like mine, where there's texture that maybe you didn't have in the earlier part of your youthful days, and you need eyeshadow that's friendly for that, check this out. It's a pretty penny retail price, and I rarely say this, it's worth every single penny that the retail price is asking for. So run out and get this. This is limited edition, but you have to be into eyeshadow because this is not a $12 drugstore eyeshadow palette. This is super high-end and very expensive, but y'all, I wear eyeshadow almost every day, and I find that this is worth it. Anyway, if you're into makeup and lifestyle and life chats and vlogs and all of that sort of stuff, please join me on my other channel called Essential Veronica. We have nice long chats over there. We do makeup. We have a lot of fun. Let's move on. My first category is best for the season, and April can be a tricky month here in Central Virginia. You can get summer days like in the late 80s, which we got. I think we even approached 90 degrees Fahrenheit if you're around the world, Fahrenheit. Well, 90 degrees Celsius, we would be like boiling, wouldn't we? So that goes without saying that it was Fahrenheit. Or you can still get like wintry-ish weather, like down in the 30s and 40 degrees. And so I picked a fragrance that I think works well in both and that I really enjoy wearing. I do have to warn you, this is not loved in my house, but it's one that I'm willing to keep because I still enjoy it, even though others find it a little bit weird and off-putting. It's not hated. And it's Xerjoff's Dolce Amalfi. Love the color on this bottle. Not so crazy about the sticker on this, but anyway, this fragrance is a beautiful, spicy, juicy fruit bubblegum. That's what I get from this. I know some people have not picked up the bubblegummy sort of thing, and I'm not talking about like bazooka bubblegum. I mean juicy fruit in particular. I love the mix of notes in here and how they produce, for me, one of the more unique smells in my collection. I can't say that I've come across anything that smells like this. It has cloves and cardamom, which are beautiful, beautiful, lovely, like what I call kitchen spices that you might put in baked goods and so forth. And an apple note, there's vanilla, there's some woodiness to this, there's some sweetness and a balsam note. So it's like everything all at once in one fragrance. I love that this is the kind of fragrance that you can wear in the dead of winter, and it will play really, really well with cold weather, as well as, to me, late into the spring, into the early summer. I might even dare to wear this in the middle of summer. I'm not sure. I will say this is a very strong, long-lasting fragrance. So if that appeals to you and you like something spicy and fruity and unique, check this out. It's really quite different. And I don't mean fruity in like the fruity floral way, you know, like the super girly way. I think this is a really nice unisex fragrance. To me, it has some masculine aspects and some feminine aspects, like a sort of yin and yang that work really well together and would be universally appealing to both men and women. However, not everyone likes this. Some people can't tolerate it. But if you like spiciness and think about a nice crisp apple note, think about the banana-esque quality of juicy fruit, mixed with all of that together with some resins, worth getting your nose on if you want something different and unique. Best for season. In the category of everyday fragrance, something that you can throw on and just run out of the house and run errands, go to the grocery store, pick up the kids, whatever, and know that you're going to smell lovely and non-offensive. And maybe this also belongs in the hidden gem category because very few people talk about this. This is Pure Honey from Kim Kardashian. Really love the cuteness of the bottle with the little bee on it. Unique bottle, maybe a little clumsy in your on your shelf among the other, square and round bottles and whatever. But regardless, what I love about this, it's just, this is so pleasant. It smells like a beautiful soapy honey floral fragrance. I would say the soapiness in this, and it's like a thick, dense soapiness, comes forward most, followed closely by a beautiful sweet honey accord. You have to like honey if you're a person where honey feels animalic to you or too heavy or too off-putting or it turns like pee. Some people complain about that. It smells like urine. Understood, this one is not for you. But if honey plays well with you, I would say this is a sweet, thick honey, yet on the lighter side of honey compared to some fragrances where it feels like it takes over or might be mixed with amber or resinous notes and so forth and make the fragrance too heavy and dense. I don't think this is on the dense side, but it is still substantial. And it's got a nice mix of white and yellow florals here that I think make this a feminine fragrance. So easy day-to-day wear and very inexpensive, still available on discount sites. I don't know if this is discontinued. I'm not following Kim Kardashian like that, y'all. I have a few of her fragrances. I have this and I have the black round tuberose one that I think is just called Kim Kardashian or something. It's somewhere in my collection. Anyway, great day-to-day fragrance for very inexpensive. I think I have seen this as low as 12 or 13 US dollars for this big bottle. Get it if you're into soapy, honey, floral fragrances. Really nice. In the category of special occasion is Wirtanen from Tiziana Terenzi. Quick disclaimer, this is not a feminine fragrance. I think it leans, to me, slightly masculine, really quite unisex, but leaning masculine, if you will. There's prominent woodiness in here. Sandalwood is one of the notes. I think there's some other woody notes that maybe are not listed. A little hint of oud, but it's not like a heavy, overpowering, really strong type of oud. A really sort of subtle, thin strand of oud running through this. Vanilla, caramel, and rose in the fragrance. But I think the woods push forward on this, followed by the vanilla and the caramel, followed by a rose sort of in the background, kind of creating a circle around the rest of the notes, if you will. So in that sense, this is one that I think is beautiful for special occasion, especially evening affairs. I did wear this during the day. It is a very strong fragrance, in my opinion, moderate to long lasting. It's not going to take you, 24 hours, not one of those kinds of fragrances, but you're probably going to get a decent, somewhere between 8 to 12 hours out of this fragrance. The bottle is really, really pretty. This line from Tiziana Terenzi retails at some insulting price. They are gorgeous fragrances, but you know how I am with my discounts. And so check this out on like Joma's shop. I think Fragrance by CA sells it and maybe some other places. Just look up the name Wirtanen and Tiziana Terenzi if you want to check out for the best price. Just Google it. But a really nice substantial bottle and a very special woody fragrance. The caramel isn't very pronounced. It really sort of sits right there with that vanilla to add some sweetness to this and prevent this from feeling like super on the masculine end, accompanied by those florals. But it's definitely, first and foremost, a woody fragrance. Moving on to the sexiest fragrance of April, and there were many that could be in this category, but let's give it up for Musk Noir Rose from Narciso Rodriguez. So this house is known for its musk. Usually the ones that are in these kind of rectangular bottles, I'm not as crazy about those musks. I've tried a lot of them and ended up giving them away or selling them. They're nice. They're all of them, in my opinion, are really nice. I have a harder time with those because something about the musk just becomes a little bit much for me during the day. Like it gets on my particular nerves, but I know a lot of people love those. The cubes are nice. I still only own the white one and the red one. Poudre and Ombre have made their way out, although they're really nice fragrances. So then we get to this one, which I hesitated to buy because, like I said, the ones in this bottle shape I haven't had the best luck with loving those over the long term. But this is, to me, a very, very alluring, sexy fragrance. Yes, it's heavy on musk. If you don't like musk, probably none of the Narciso Rodriguez line is going to be for you. I would say that with this fragrance, the musk is the most prominent aspect. It does have a little bit of fruitiness from plum. It's not plum dominant for me. I think the rose is a really nice player in here, but the rose is subtle. As someone who isn't like the most enamored of rose, me, and I do have some nice rose fragrances, okay, but it's not a note that I go look for in fragrances, if you will. It's just really subtle and pretty in here and sits nicely with the sweetness, like a deep sweetness from the fruit here, the plum in there. And then it all is sweetened up and softened up with a lovely vanilla note. Overall, the fragrance, in my opinion, is on the subtle side as compared to some like Dolce Amalfi, which is like, whoa, hi, I'm in the room. You're going to wear me today. This one is a little bit more subtle. I don't mean that it's soft as in you can't smell it. I just mean that it's more delicate in the air. And I think this has a real allure because of the rose in here and the musk. Something about rose and musk together is really attractive, I think, to the opposite sex. Husband loves this, babe. So...
This isn't live, is it?
Yes. No, it's not live. Okay. So I think this is a sexy fragrance. What do you think of it?
I think it's good.
It's good?
I think it's good.
Is it good?
I sprayed it on my hand. It's good.
Okay. Thank you. So there you have it, friends. This is definitely that man magnet. So check this out. Moderate longevity on this. You may get like 6-ish or something hours. Definitely not one that's going to go straight through the night. And so if you're going to be out for a long time, just carry a decant. But this is one that would be great for date night. You're getting ready at dinner. You're going to have date night. It'll take you through the evening. So there you go. Then in the category of biggest surprise, because I recently wore this and it smelled differently even than when I sampled it. And I really liked it when I sampled it. I've worn it twice. And the second time I picked up something I didn't pick up either time before. It's Creme de Cuir from BDK. Creme de Cuir from BDK. What's surprising to me about this fragrance is that there is a citrus aspect to it, mostly from a pineapple note that neither in the sampling nor in the first wear did I really pick up. This just came across as a bright, like a vibrant, bright, suede-y, musky fragrance, not heavy. And I think that's also part of the surprise. When you look at the note structure, you expect this to be really dense and maybe even overpowering. And it's just not. Actually, I think it lists a leather note, but to me, this comes across almost like a brushed suede texture in the way that it feels when you smell it, alongside a beautiful, soft, light musk. And on that second full wear, I did pick up a really nice citrus pineapple aspect, very light, hovering over the, in the lightest way, over the suede and musky aspects of this. As this dries down, you get a nice sandalwood that also comes out to play with those other notes. So I would say this is like, in terms of leathers and suedes, a really beautiful feminine one for those of you that are scared of leather in your fragrances, but you kind of want to experiment and stay on the feminine side. You may want to get yourself a decant of Creme de Cuir and try that out and see how it plays with your skin. In the category of best bottle, there were a lot of pretty bottles this month, but I'm going to go with Alexander McQueen. McQueen is the name of the fragrance by Alexander McQueen. I love the studded top on it. I have a thing for bottles that have a really beautiful curvature on them like that and have that sort of weighted base to them. I don't know what it is or why that's so appealing to me, but I really love aesthetically what this looks like. This is a tuberose fragrance that you're going to see in an upcoming tuberose video that I will be posting shortly after this one, like in a week or two after this one. If you have been looking for Madonna's Truth or Dare, which is in the white bottle, I had that one too. I ended up selling it because I have so many tuberose fragrances. I didn't need it. Between the two, and this one smells a lot like that one, I would probably reach for this before the Truth or Dare, which is why, I ended up selling that. This is a lovely tuberose fragrance that I find not overpowering as a tuberose. Sometimes with tuberose, people are turned off by it because it can be a really strong note in fragrances and almost overpowering. I love that in this fragrance, there's a little bit of pepperiness to accompany the tuberose to keep it from being too serious. I love that there's a little bit of yellow floral to give it a more sort of tropical sweet aspect to it. And I also enjoy that there's a slight woodiness in this. But by and large, this is a tuberose fragrance. And look at this bottle. Come on, ring light. These ring lights will play you. Look at that. Anyway, and it has a more demure sister called McQueen Eau Blanche if you want a really soft, well-mannered, soft baby tuberose. I said soft twice. Let's go on. On to the worst bottle of the month. This was an easy one. So I recently picked up both Note Vanille Nectar and Ylang Gold Nectar from Micallef. Two fragrances that I have been looking at for the better part of a year. I picked up the small bottles, and I was really hoping that this one, even though this is what showed up on the website, that this Note Vanille would come in this bottle, which I really do like this bottle. I can't tell you how many YouTubers I've seen describe this as a really beautiful bottle. I don't see it. I'm very sorry. I find the Swarovski crystals, whatever, these little faux gems to be very distracting. I would much prefer that those gems weren't on there. I don't understand that. I'm not quite sure what's happening with the pattern on the side. And quite frankly, I feel indifferent about these caps. I don't think they're particularly attractive or not. I do think that this bottle on this one, the gold nectar, Ylang Gold Nectar bottle, is very pretty. Anywho, Note Vanille, I've tried before. I was really interested in trying the nectar version. Is it pronounced Note Vanille? I don't know. It has two E's on the end. I'm sure there are French speakers out there that can help us out with the pronunciation. That's not what matters. This I find to be a heavily citrus vanilla with woodiness from a sandalwood note. It smells like a beautiful, clean vanilla, and I really like it. The nectar version, I think, is just a little bit deeper and longer lasting. I didn't appreciate that the sample of Note Vanille or Vanille, however you pronounce it, seemed to have moderate longevity for the price that these command. So that aside, I like the fragrance. The fragrance is quite nice, but this bottle, I have to say, drives me a little bit crazy. So this is my worst bottle of the month. So then my favorite blind buy, although I think you'd get the opposite argument in my house. There are people here that absolutely hate this fragrance, but I'm keeping it because I like it. It's Lunanera from Tiziana Terenzi. I have done a dedicated Tiziana Terenzi video. If you're interested, I will link that in the description box below as well for you. But look, this fragrance smells like luxurious baby oil, like Johnson & Johnson's baby oil. But if you think of baby powder in oil form, yes, I know there was a separate oil, but the powder had a stronger smell. Imagine turning that powder into an oil that then became a perfume. I don't even know if people can follow that sort of train of crazy thinking. But what I'm getting at is that this has the cleanest, loveliest, most intoxicating kind of baby powder smell to it. Yes, it has some powdery aspects, but it's a really dense powder that feels just thick. I don't know how else to say it. And maybe that's what annoys other people because I have probably sprayed too much of this when I've worn it here in the house. But I just adore this. Maybe it's more of a cold weather fragrance and not one that should be sprayed in the heat, as it has a tendency to take over whatever space that it's in. But I think it's worth getting your nose on if you think that Johnson & Johnson's baby powder or baby oil even smells good. There's something in that you think should be amplified into a perfume. Here you go. In the category of not a safe blind buy, okay, I love this fragrance. I had it before. I ended up decluttering it because it actually became too much for me. And then I missed it and repurchased it. Y'all, there's nothing else like this out on the market. Dune, and this is from Christian Dior. So yes, people have lamented about the reformulation of this. Oh my gosh, it's not as strong as the original and yada, yada, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe so. Nonetheless, this is still so, in my opinion, close to the original, maybe like a tad bit lighter than the original version, but such an exquisite fragrance. For those of you that like those loud, bombastic fragrances of the past, this fragrance is so heavy on the amber, on the woods, on this sweet, resinous aspect to it that I can't even put into words. This is one of those fragrances that I think repulses a lot of people because it is so thick and deep and strong. But for me, it just has this nostalgic thing that when I smell this, it moves me. It moves me. It does something special to me. I don't know if it just brings back memories or what the deal is, but it's a thick fragrance. It's a fragrance that smells absolutely amazing under sweaters when you're in the coldest of winters. So it was a little bit crazy that I wore this in April, but I was craving it. I was just craving that sort of thick. It has a matronly aspect to it. And I love the name Dune, which of course then makes me think of the deep heat of deserts. I've never been to the Sahara Desert. In fact, I've never been to any desert that has huge, like building size dunes on them. But if I imagine what the solar smell of that space smells like, there's something infused in here with that sort of fantasy note as well, or fantasy accord rather, solar accord. This is a beauty of a fragrance, but only for the most daring among ya, okay? Not something that is a safe blind buy, but worth getting your nose on if you want something classic and beautiful in your collection and you want to smell different than everyone else. The next category is usually an overhyped fragrance, but let me tell you, the ones that I wore in April for the most part are deserving of whatever hype they get. So I'm actually going to skip that category this month. Gasp. It'll be back next month, don't worry. But remember that I am working on curating my collection more and more so that I'm getting into my collection fragrances that I really like and love. Those two categories to me are fine. I don't have to love and be blown away by every single fragrance in my collection, but I need to really like and enjoy it and want to wear it. So there's nothing that's overhyped from the past month. Let me go on then to one that is a hidden gem and maybe deserves more attention. And I do want to try more from this line. I bought this fall. It's from Maison, Tahite, and it is Carnal Cacao. So there's a whole line of cacao scents from this house that I'd love to try. I tried Cacao 2 or Squared. I don't know how you say that. And it was really good. And is that what it was called? Yes. And I also tried Vanextasy, which is on the way as I'm filming this video. Can't wait to get that. I love that this fragrance, well, first of all, can we give it up for this really interesting bottle style? I love the amber on this. The proportions on it are great. The sticker's fine by me. I like the way these look. This is nice to look at. But in terms of the fragrance, I included this in my chocolate video that I filmed in the fall. We'll link that below for you also. This fragrance is a soft, delicate tuberose with also a soft, delicate chocolate. It's not an in-your-face, super gourmand chocolate. It's a light, airy, I wouldn't even say powdery, just like a thin chocolate, if you will, that accompanies the tuberose. And they play so nicely together in this fragrance that I really, really enjoy wearing it. It also has a tiny hint of citrus to maybe keep the fragrance from getting too serious about itself. And it's moderate, it's not the longest lasting, and it's not super projecting. It's a little bit of a closer scent bubble, maybe a half a day to 6-ish hours kind of fragrance, but really a nice one if you like a softer tuberose and you're interested in seeing tuberoses or trying tuberoses that are different from just your general floral category. So I haven't seen tuberose paired with chocolate often, maybe in very, very few fragrances, and I think it's done really nicely in here. This line in general, I think, deserves some more love and attention from you all. I don't think this line has been shown a lot, if you will, on YouTube. I've seen it here and there. I've seen Vanextasy quite a bit, and I've seen maybe 1 or 2 others from this cacao line, but definitely get your nose on some of the samples of this or discovery set. So next, I would usually do my lowest 3, my middle 3, and my top 3. And that was particularly difficult this month because these aren't really low fragrances that I'm going to share with you. So I might be revamping these 3 categories in the future and figuring out some other way to represent them, because I'm getting to the point more and more where there really aren't fragrances to put in the low category. But for the sake of the video and for keeping with the categories, I'm going to share with you 3 that I wish were maybe even more projecting. That's kind of the way that I approached it last time. And I'll start off with Alien Eau Extraordinaire. So when I first started my channel, I've always been an Alien girl, y'all. Alien was my wedding scent. Yes, I wore Alien in the heat of the summer and I loved it and I have no regrets about that. I'm an Alien fan. Top 10 for life, y'all. But I wanted to try out all of the Alien flankers that I could get my hands on reasonably. And this was purchased among that bunch. I do like this fragrance. I think it's a nice tea fragrance accompanied by some citrus. It's light and it's fresh. It fades fairly quickly, and that's why I have it in this low 3, if we can call this category low 3. And I do think that I may be selling this fragrance, not because it's not lovely, but because I have some other tea and citrus fragrances that I really want to show some love to. And I've had my time with this fragrance. So this is a beautiful one if you're interested in something really light, non-imposing, that you could wear day to day, particularly those of you that live in a hot, humid climate. And you need to be really careful with the fragrances that you choose and make sure that what you're wearing is not cloying, like in the least. This might be a really lovely option for you. Also have in this category Valentino Donna Born in Roma. This is nice. This is jasmine upon jasmine upon jasmine with some woodiness and a lot of vanilla upon vanilla upon vanilla. Especially in the dry down, it mostly becomes a vanilla and woody fragrance with sprinkles of jasmine. It opens heavy on the jasmine. Love the Valentino bottles with the studs. I always have. I thought that these were always really, really cool. I enjoy this fragrance. It's really, really nice. There are days that I'm a little bit nose blind to it and other days where it feels like it's projecting quite nicely on me. I would say the longevity on this is moderate. And again, that's really the only reason that it's in this category. If it were even more beast mode and more projecting, it might have moved up in ranks for this video, but it's really nice. Now, sob story. Da, 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 da. Bonus points if you know that movie. I know there's a Born in Roma Intense out, which yours truly added to her Ulta cart a few days ago. I finally found the 1 ounce. The 1 ounce sold out during the Sephora sale. I'm mad at y'all. Y'all bought up all the 1 ounces and I couldn't get one because I'm trying to get smaller versions of bottles if they're available. The Ulta one, I put it in my cart. I was all excited. I was like, they have a 1 ounce and I have reward points. Yeah, I'm gonna get it. Put the order through. And then this morning, I get an email. We've shipped out part of your order, but there was an item that we could not fulfill because it's out of stock. Y'all, I wanted it. So it's not there. So I'm going to have to probably break down and get the 1.7 ounce at least, because this is the big bottle, right? And if I do get that one, I may replace this one with the Intense. I do like the Intense version a lot and may either sell this or give it away to someone, or maybe even give it to our daughter because she's getting into fragrances a little bit more and she might like this too. But it is, I don't care what anybody talks about when they say, oh, it's basic. Can we stop with the stupid basic descriptions? Sorry, I didn't mean to call people stupid, but come on. What's wrong with smelling basic? If you smell nice, you smell nice. So this is a very nice fragrance. Let's move along. Third in this category is, okay, you all know that I have really enjoyed this house, Atelier Materi, and this is Santal Blomde. So these fragrances are a little crazily priced. They're over $200 retail, I think $230 or something like that. But I found this on Fragrance Net for a little bit over $100. I think it was like $110 or something like that. I snatched this up. I snatched up the Poivre Pomelo one, and I already have what? Cacao Porcelana. You already know. That's the girl. Do I have a fourth one? I don't think so. Anyway, Santal Blomde. If you like sandalwood, this is a nice, almost milky sandalwood, maybe even bordering on creamy, like getting to that level of thickness. So sort of maybe in between milky and such a nice sandalwood fragrance. This is almost like just a luxurious sandalwood smell. I just wish it was even stronger and more projecting and more long lasting. I think I got somewhere in the neighborhood of like 6-ish hours. It's one of those fragrances, if it lasted even longer and was even thicker and more projecting, I would say go on and pay the full retail price, my loves. But for now, that's why this is in this category, because it is on the softer side of a sandalwood. It's very well mannered. And I love the name Santal Blomde. If you think about blonde woods or light woods, it is on the lighter side in terms of its texture. So if that suits you, you might want to try this. It's a really, really nice fragrance. Very well done. Then I go next to the middle three, and I don't even know if these are really like actually middle three. It's maybe more like the middle and the top three are just one huge category. So forgive me, Father, for I sin, for putting these in the middle category, because these are really, really good. So Kerosene Unknown Pleasures. So I waited for a long time to get this because I have Zara, a pastry in Paris, a sweet pastry in Paris is what it's called, which is like a fresh lemon bar right out of the oven, like a hot lemon bar. Oh, so good. And I still have that fragrance and I'm keeping it. And I always heard this one compared to that. Our girl Marcy here on YouTube sent me a decant of this a long time ago and I really liked it, but didn't buy it because I felt like, oh, I have a sweet pastry in Paris. Well, recently, as you know, I went down deep into the rabbit hole of Kerosene and purchased 3 and a bunch of samples. Would you like to see a dedicated review on the House of Kerosene? Let me know. I think I have maybe 10 or so to talk about between the bottles and the samples. Just drop it in the comments, please. But Unknown Pleasures. Listen, when I tell you that this is a sweet, beautiful, rich, creamy lemon fragrance, ooh, so good. There's lemon, like a nice, warm, delicious, like sweet. I say sweet, like imagine a lemon doused in sugar is what you get here, particularly in the opening. There's like a blast of this sweet lemon, vanilla, and caramel. There's a little bit of a tea note in here too, but I think by and large, this is more than anything a lemon and vanilla fragrance surrounded by some caramel and with a splash of like a tea note. This is delicious. It plays really nicely on the skin. You do need to be a lover of lemon for this and a lover of vanilla because those are prominent. Nice fragrance. Another fragrance that's going to show up in my Tuberose video. This is recent to my collection and I have no idea why I waited so long to get it. Amouage Love Tuberose. So lovely, creamy tuberose. Well, there's a whipped cream note, so it's like a light cream. It's not super heavy and dense, but it's there nonetheless to add a lot of softness to this fragrance. Heavy on the vanilla also, but not the sweetest vanilla, just to add some thickness to the fragrance. And it's definitely a white floral by and large. Tuberose prominent along with gardenia, and I think there's another white floral or two that's in here. This is delicate and it's pretty and it's fairly long lasting. It's not the most bespoke mode for an amouage. When you think of amouage fragrances, you think of fragrances that come on strong, they stay on strong, they grip you in a death grip, and they go all day long as fragrances. I would say this stays on the softer side in terms of maybe fading off after, I don't know, 6 to 8-ish hours or something, like just getting really soft on your skin. Nonetheless, it's still a nice performer. And if you are scared of tuberose but want to try it and want it with a little bit of creaminess to kind of cut the sharpness that you can get from white florals sometimes, then maybe think about getting a decant of this and seeing if it works out for you. Then a really lovely dupe for Delina Exclusive, which I do enjoy that fragrance. I just never purchased the actual one, is First Kiss I always say exclusive, but it's exclusive. First Kiss Exclusive from Be Layered. This bottle is 1.8 ounces, and I believe it's in the 50-something dollar range. And sometimes Be Layered will run specials, and you can get it for less than that if you don't want to spring for like the full 300 and some odd dollars that the original costs, which the original is beautiful too. I just love the rose in this. I love that it's a bright, fresh rose, but it's thick and dense at the same time. So it has both of those like dueling aspects going on, which I think keep this fragrance interesting. And I think it's a mass appealing one. This is one that as you wear it, people will be wondering, what are you wearing that smells beautiful, pretty, elegant, something or other? So anyway, if you want something like the original, try this out. So we're there, y'all. We're at the top of the mountain and I've got my top 3, except I'm cheating and I'm going to make it a top 4. But is it really cheating? Because I didn't have that overhyped fragrance. So if I just take that slot and move it on down to the top 3, it becomes a top 4. Let's get into the fragrances that were so good that I put them even ahead of and beyond those beautiful fragrances that I forced into the middle and bottom categories. Let's go. Kilian, I don't need a princess. Excuse me. This name is so long, I get all confused. I don't need a prince by my side to be a princess. Let's just call it princess, which is what people know it as. Thank you, Kilian, for coming out with this square, simpler bottle. I did not like the weird ball on top of the base. I kind of hated that. I thought it was really, really weird. So I much, much prefer this style here. And the level of amazingness. Yes, some people try this because it gets so hyped up. And when you have a fragrance that's like so super hyped up and then you sniff it, especially if you sniff it in store where there's 20 other smells in the air and you're like, why are all these people bugging out about this really simple, simple fragrance? But it is simple and beautiful. This is such an airy, light, very feminine, dare I say even girly, not juvenile, but girly, like fun and playful, cloud-like, marshmallow scent with a hint of citrus and a hint of tea. More than anything, really like, well, I say marshmallow in terms of like the texture that you get from this smell. It's very light. It plays so nicely on the skin. It's just amazing. And it plays well across the seasons is what I'm coming to learn about this fragrance. It's beautiful for warm weather when you want something a little bit more girly with a slight gourmand touch, but doesn't have like the sickliness of some gourmands in the heat where they can get a little bit like overpowering because they smell too much like hot food at that point. Hot desserts. Here's one that you may want to try. Beautiful sweater weather type of fragrance also. Beautiful date night, beautiful wear to bed, hang out around the house in your PJs. Oh my gosh. Need I say more? Love it. Next. You know, people keep talking about this being discontinued, but then I still see it on retail sites. So I don't know. Does anyone out there know? Or are we just passing around all the rumors that we hear? C. Fiori from Armani. Love, love, love this pink bottle. If you like this kind of pink nudie bottle, check out Good Girl Blush from Carolina Herrera, the new one, which I also purchased in the Sephora sale. Love that one too. That one and this one are very similar to me in that they have citrus and floral aspects and they're both sort of musky and fluffy in the air. So this is very much like Oh, I love this. What I call like a ballerina-esque fragrance. It reminds me of ballet tulle, like the skirts that a ballerina dancer would wear. There's something really light and fluffy, elegant and girly about this all at the same time. It is not the best performer of a fragrance. I wouldn't call it a poor performer. I would just say it's sort of somewhere in the middle. But in terms of feminine fragrances that have mass appeal, this is a great one. Hubby loves this too. Kids love it. Get a bottle of this if you're into citrus and florals together with a little bit of fluffy, musky touch to it. A fragrance that when I first sampled it smelled like bad breath to me. I don't know why. I don't know if I got a bad sample or if I was just in a bad mood that night and smelling something funky, or if I hadn't taken maybe the fragrance off beforehand that I had on that day and just laid on top and things mixed. Who knows what happened? But that I sampled again and then was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna need a bottle of this. It's Greenwich Village from Bond Number 9. I do love the bottles. Some people hate them. So you either love the bottles or you hate them. I really love the shape of the bottle. I love the grip on it. I love that this has a faux animal, crocodile or whatever you call that print. Is it alligator? Alligator, crocodile, something print on it. But this fragrance, it has that beautiful aquatic nature that Calvin Klein's Escape. Remember Escape? From the late 80s into the 90s that was popular during that time period. There's an airiness to this, but at the same time, it is substantive. This fragrance definitely has a lot of oomph to this. I wore this when my son and I were traveling out to the mountains of Virginia, and it was a nice warmish day. I would say high 70s into the early 80s. I wanted something super spring-like. This one here has a bright fruitiness along with some florals. I get a rose in here. I also get a sweetness underneath that light aquatic touch that it has. It's a really hard fragrance to describe and one that's worth testing and trying out. It does have that same sort of spun airiness that BR 540 has, like that quality of it. I don't think this has that medicinal hospital type of like Band-Aid aspect that people do not like in BR 540. So then, maybe one of the most hyped up fragrances of 2023 so far, and with good reason. With good reason. The gorgeous Blanche Bête from Liquid Imaginaires. So, polarizing, people hate it or love it. I would not say, again, this is probably in that category of not a safe blind buy. For me, this is such a dreamy, ideal fragrance. I have now worn it in the daytime and I've worn it at night to bed. And I can't get enough of it. It's one of those, like, I walk by and just sniff. So for me, this is a very creamy, first and foremost. There's a denseness to this. The same kind of thickness that you get in like cream of cocoa, coconut cream that you use for holiday drinks and that sort of thing. That kind of thickness in here, along with this beautiful sweetness and tuberose. There's an absolute tuberose note in here that's undeniable for me, but I'm a tuberose lover. So I picked that up right away. There's just something really comforting, delightful, and intoxicating about this. That's it. That's it. I'm overhyping this fragrance. So accuse me of that. I will gladly be accused of that because it's worth it for me. So yes, but friends, get a decant first because some people really, they find this nauseating is the word that I've heard. They can't tolerate it. It makes them want to throw up, which egad, I cannot believe it. But to each their own. For me, this is my own. I love this. So friends, that is the April awards show. Before you go, please be sure to drop in the comments your favorite fragrance for yourself of the month of April. Share. Sharing is caring. Tell us what you like. Help us think about new fragrances to try out. And those of you that are out there will interact with each other in the comments and share your own thoughts. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video and take care, my friends.